Welcome to the third video in our Visuals and Technical Communication series. In this video, we will explain how to effectively use tables to present your data and how to incorporate them into documents. In the first part of this video, we will explain the main elements that are included in most tables. Tables are an important way to visualize your data. Doing so can save space over writing everything out and allows readers to process a lot of data in a single glance. Tables have several main features that you must include. A title, including a sequential table number, the stub, or left-hand column that presents the categories or labels, column labels, columns, rows, and cells, your data, and finally, sources or notes when applicable. When you are developing your table, you should take great care to organize it in a way that clearly displays the data for your audience. Some smart choices can help you do this. First, consider the labels for your columns and the stub. It is good practice to include units of measurement in the header rather than clutter each cell with that information. Use text formatting such as bold or light fill to differentiate your headers from your data. Center the labels in your header and stub. When appropriate, have a footer that totals your data. Now that we know the basics, we'll explore how to create effective tables that convey a clear message for your audience. The first step to creating an effective table is to know your data really well and analyze how to best present the data to communicate your main message. Consider what information you want your audience to focus on. How can you organize your data logically for them? Categories can be presented alphabetically or chronologically, but more often by most important to least important, most frequent to least frequent, most expensive to least expensive, or some other organizational strategy that readers will understand through viewing your data. Here's an example of developing a table where the creators understood their audience well. This table shows the COVID-19 vaccines in development in early 2020. Instead of simply alphabetically organizing the company names that were developing the vaccines, they instead organized the table by the information their audience would be most likely to want to know. Which vaccines were furthest along in the development process? Clearly display your data by following these guidelines for data entry in cells. Text should be left aligned, small numbers should be centered, and large values, decimals, or dollar amounts should be right aligned to allow for easy comparison between values. Once you are confident that you have clearly displayed your data, you should take a moment to ensure that your table follows practices of good design. You can use color and shading to ensure that the audience sees a point clearly. For example, if you want them to focus on the totals of a table, you should shade in that row or column with a light color to attract their attention to that part of the table. Another important element to consider is to not clutter the table with excess grid lines. It is common practice to not include borders for body rows and to just show them for the header, footer, and columns. Now that you've designed an excellent table, let's discuss best practices for how you incorporate it into a document. When you include a table in a report, you not only insert it into the document, but you also write about the table in the body text of your report. Your audience expects to read about a table in the report body before seeing it placed in the text. You should refer to the table by number, such as in the example on the screen, which introduces the table as the subject of the sentence. Table 3-1 classifies pipes. Your table should then be inserted in the first available place after the paragraph in which you first refer to the table, with the numbered label and a clear title on top. Be sure to number the tables sequentially by the order in which they appear. A table should never be split up over 2 pages. You also want to keep in mind that tables are not always the right choice. They are excellent when you have a lot of data to display, But if the trend of the data is more important than the individual points, a figure is more appropriate. Conversely, if you can state the results in one sentence, then no visual may be needed at all. In conclusion, tables are a valuable tool for presenting large amounts of data quickly for your audience. Stay tuned for part 4 in this series, where we explain how to use realistic renderings in technical documents.